This is FSC's Financial Forum, where we explore topics related to securities, insurance, and private pensions, as well as the regulatory environment within which these industries operate. Hello, my name is David Geddes. I'm the Director, Stakeholder Engagement, Communication and International Relations at the Financial Services Commission, FSC. FSC was established in 2001 to promote integrity in the financial sector and protect consumers of financial services in the non-deposit-taking financial sector. The FSC and the Bank of Jamaica together regulate and supervise Jamaica's trillion-dollar financial sector.
FSC was established as part of a response that policymakers had to the crisis, the financial sector crisis of the mid-1990s, the mid to late 1990s. Policymakers realized from the experiences of the crisis, which was costly. It was costly to both Jamaican society and to the economy. And in order to prevent such an occurrence, they took a very in-depth look at the causes of the crisis. And what was realized, among other things, was that the crisis reflected, in part, a failure of governance within the financial institutions, broadly speaking. Right. It was also recognized, too, that the regulatory framework was not strong enough to enable regulators to quickly identify and to curtail certain kinds of risk behaviors that had emerged.
Based on what you just said, if an entity fails, what are some of the powers or measures put in place to treat with it?
Well, we would like to intervene long before a company fails.
Right.
So the measures that we have available to us is not just in relation to a failure. It actually speaks to an assessment that we make on an ongoing basis as to the financial health and viability of the institutions that we regulate. And based on that assessment, we are empowered to take corrective action, which may include the FSC giving what are called directions, which are essentially orders for the entity to do certain specific or to take certain specific actions within a specified frame of time to correct a deficiency. We may also issue a cease and desist order, which is an order to stop doing something. Right? So we can either tell you to do something or we can tell you to stop doing something. We also may take temporary management of a company depending on the circumstances. We may also take steps to suspend or cancel a license or a registration. And in all of those, we are also empowered to enlist the assistance of the courts where necessary to have those orders and directives complied with.
Based on the roles and responsibilities of FSC, it is evident that you play a big part in financial stability. What is the relationship between FSC and Bank of Jamaica?
I would classify that relationship as being a brother and a sister relationship.
The one that fights a lot?
I won't say who's a brother and who's a sister, but let us just say that we are or two sisters. Right. You know, but we are both regulators for the financial market. The Bank of Jamaica regulates deposit-taking institutions, banks, building societies, credit unions, merchant banks. We regulate the non-deposit-taking sector, but oftentimes there is a lot of overlap, you know, primarily because you do have within the same group of companies, you do have a banking entity and a non-deposit-taking entity. And so the Bank of Jamaica is charged with regulating the group, but there's a significant level of collaboration and coordination that occurs with the FSC to ensure that the sector overall, the entire financial sector, is being supervised effectively. So we share information on a routine basis, both supervisory information and information on specific entities that may be of concern. We collaborate with regards to the strengthening of financial sector legislation. And we also participate very actively on certain statutory committees that have been formed by the policymakers to enable the regulators to have a full overview of the financial stability of the sector.
Today, we look at the more than $600 billion pensions industry and the mere 11% coverage of Jamaica's workforce, financial literacy for youth, and the importance of regulatory governance. Mrs. Sanya Goff is a renowned attorney at law and advocate for pension reform and social security development in Jamaica. Mrs. Goff is an Eisenhower Fellow 2020 and serves as a director of NCB Financial Group Limited, National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited, Jamaica Producers Group Limited, the National Insurance Fund, Adult Learning Centers of Jamaica, and is chairman of Stratus Alternative Funds SCC. She is also president of the Pensions Industry Association of Jamaica.
I am Sanya Goff, attorney at law and president of the Pension Industry Association of Jamaica. I am pleased to be participating in the Financial Services Commission's Supervisor Summit, discussing regulation facilitating growth and development in the Jamaican pension industry. The passage of the Pension Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes Act and regulation signaled the first step in the implementation of a comprehensive regulatory framework for private pension plans in Jamaica. However, 17 years after implementation, the private market alone has not been able to solve the dire problem of low coverage, which has hovered between 9 to 11% of workers in the private sector. Simply encouraging people to save has not been enough. Innovative and creative ways to increase pension coverage are therefore urgently needed. The main objective and principle that ought to guide the development of any pension industry anywhere in the world, not just Jamaica, is to achieve sustainable, adequate retirement security for citizens, eliminating the occurrence of old age poverty. The regulator is a primary facilitator in the development of any modern pension industry. Today, I want to explore 3 ways a regulator of the pension industry can support sustainable, adequate retirement security in Jamaica. We'll be discussing facilitating a wider diversity of investments at the appropriate level of risk, reimagining ways to achieve retirement security, and being a driver of financial literacy. Pension fund assets, accounting for just under 700 billion Jamaican dollars, represent the largest single pool of investable funds in Jamaica, and investment managers and trustees are hungry for diversification. The current regulations impose quantitative and qualitative limits based on asset class, jurisdiction, type of transaction, and concentration. While there has been some recent liberalization, including expanding foreign currency limits and the ability to now invest in Jamaican private equity, we need to move away from the prevailing one-size-fits-all approach to pension investing. Risk tolerances vary by pension fund and may vary over the life of a specific pension fund. Using life cycle rather than straight investment limits can have a positive impact on pension fund portfolio construction, allowing for greater diversification and ultimately higher pension fund returns. The FSC's pending implementation of a risk-based approach to the supervision of the financial industry is a welcome one. However, the investment regulations need to allow the regulator to also apply a risk-based approach to investment allowances and investment risk management, not just compliance. Applying a risk-based approach facilitates funds being able to effectively improve the hunt for returns at the most acceptable risk for that plan, at all times ensuring that the best interests of the ultimate beneficiaries of the plan are preserved. Pension funds are naturally long-term investors due to the long maturities of their liabilities. Under the right conditions, pension fund capital can contribute to the development of the real economy and drive growth. But this can only occur when the regulatory environment is flexible and adaptable to foster the growth, and the regulator is also enabled with the power to give the necessary support and supervision. We must strive for an environment that doesn't shrink the pension industry, but attracts more and more employers to set up new and novel pension arrangements and enroll new contributors who earn in more flexible arrangements and who want pensions too. A few possible solutions and approaches our regulator could consider include auto-enrollment. Auto-enrollment is a program where a worker who is not in an employer-sponsored pension plan is automatically placed in an approved retirement scheme and must make the active choice to be taken out of the scheme. It is essentially a change in the choice architecture, but the ability to always opt out maintains individual choice and responsibility for the decision to participate in the plan. People often suffer from behavioral biases and limited financial knowledge that prevent them from joining voluntary pension arrangements early enough to build a meaningful pension. Auto-enrollment ensures savings occurs alongside the paycheck, and it significantly simplifies the process for identifying and starting a retirement account. Another strategy to encourage savings could be the implementation of a micro-pensions framework for low-income and informal workers. Micro-pensions is the concept of making very small contributions to a pension arrangement, but these contributions are made more often than you would in your traditional pension arrangement. Imagine text messages that prompt you to make a small contribution deducted from phone credit, or possibly a bank account. Or perhaps at a gas station or grocery store, you're prompted to top up or round up your payment, and that excess goes to your pension account. You don't have to think about it, and it's not burdensome. Both auto-enrollment and micro-pensions are examples of redesigning the traditional means of pension savings so that you no longer see retirement savings as something challenging. The heavy work is done for you. The Pension Industry Association of Jamaica is separately working on a concept paper to propose the introduction of an auto-enrollment program in Jamaica. I know the FSC is also exploring the feasibility of micro-pensions, and the PIAJ stands ready to support the FSC in this regard and any other initiative that will meaningfully and sustainably improve pension coverage. We can all agree that there is an urgent need to increase the financial literacy of Jamaicans, and the regulator has a critical role to play in financial education. People see the regulator as independent and likely to provide information that isn't biased or tailored towards a particular financial product or service. The development of regular exposure to financial education increases knowledge and confidence, leading to increased satisfaction and ultimately driving an individual to act in their own best financial interest. The OECD has published principles and good practices for financial education and awareness, recommending that financial education be considered in the regulatory and administrative framework of a country and used as a tool to promote economic growth, confidence, and stability. Financial education should be seen as a necessary complement to financial regulation. Financial education programs mean more than just passing financial information along, but should be designed to meet the needs and the financial literacy levels of the target audience, as well as reflect how the target audience prefers to receive information. Financial education should also be regarded as a lifetime, ongoing, and continuous process, in particular, in order to take account of the increased complexity of markets, varying needs at different life stages, and increasingly complex information. Some good practices recommended by the OECD include national campaigns to raise awareness of financial risk and ways to protect against financial risk through adequate savings, insurance, and financial education. Starting financial education in school. People should be educated about financial matters as early as possible in their lives, and also making financial education a part of state welfare assistance programs. Finally, using websites, and I would also add social media platforms, should be promoted to provide relevant, user-friendly financial information to the public. The income derived from a pension, in the majority of cases, is what determines whether we're able to lead an independent and dignified life after formal retirement. While we strive to establish a first-class pension framework with a modern, forward-thinking, and adaptable regulator, reality is the process to get there is a marathon, not a sprint. And just like training for a marathon is a team effort involving coaches, trainers, support from friends and family, pushing Jamaica to a first-class pension system requires a team effort from all stakeholders: the regulators, investment managers, administrators, sponsors, and trustees. This is me after my first and only so far marathon in 2013, the San Francisco Marathon. I nearly died. And though pension reform is a marathon and often a long and arduous process, we don't want to look like me at the end of it. So it will take continuous, frank, and transparent dialogue, striking the right balance between all the various interests and expectations of stakeholders, maintaining a healthy tension between the regulator and the regulated. At the end of the day, we are all striving for the same results: adequate and sustainable retirement security for all Jamaicans and the elimination of old age poverty. It is possible. We can get there. Thank you.
Attorney at Law and President of the Pensions Fund Association of Jamaica, Mrs. Sanya Goff. The Financial Services Commission is committed to financial literacy and financial inclusion. This is particularly critical amongst Jamaican youth. FSC's Communications Officer, David Ansell, who has delivered numerous presentations to youth, vulnerable women, and the disabled, is a graduate of the University of the West Indies and is responsible for FSC's social media platforms and coordinating outreach activities.
Jamaica, like other small island developing states, is on a mission to achieve sustainable socio-economic growth as outlined in its National Development Plan, Vision 2030, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The National Financial Inclusion Strategy, NFIS, is one of the driving forces for socio-economic growth and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. The goal of the NFIS is to create conditions in which underserved citizens can save, invest, and build resilience against financial shocks and generate greater levels of wealth. Jamaica's future is in the hands of our youth, so it is deliberate that they are targeted for financial inclusion and made aware of key financial concepts and practices to build their wealth and financial resilience. Promoting financial inclusion through financial literacy equips youth with the knowledge and skills to make sound financial decisions. This also builds confidence and capacity in the financial sector. Ladies and gentlemen, financial inclusion is the enabler of the underbanked to better undertake and grow business opportunities, save safely in the financial sector, manage risks, and build financial security. It addresses poverty and income inequality, issues highlighted by UN Sustainable Development Goals 1 and 10. The Financial Services Commission, FSC, because of its dedication to its mission and mandate, has been a major advocate of financial literacy and inclusion through conceptualizing and implementing robust investor education strategies. The FSC's collaboration with stakeholders in promoting financial literacy and inclusion is characterized by consumer-focused initiatives being implemented across the island. There has been meaningful collaboration with local, regional, and international bodies such as the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, the Bank of Jamaica, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the Consumer Affairs Commission, Junior Achievement Jamaica, the Jamaica Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Bureau of Gender Affairs, and the International Forum on Investor Education. We have partnered with these organizations on numerous initiatives, such as the World Investor Week, the National Investor Education Week, where members of the FSC team have represented the Commission in presenting to our stakeholders on topics such as financial literacy, personal finance, and the FSC as regulators of the non-deposit taking financial industry. Because of the FSC's committed interest in promoting financial literacy and inclusion, we have drafted a multi-pronged approach to boosting our reach to all members of our stakeholder grouping. Youth-focused initiatives such as the National Investor Education Week's annual Youth Forum and specialized presentations have been major initiatives that have helped form a wide-reaching financial literacy and inclusion strategy. This approach has allowed us to touch the lives of high school students, adults in various communities across the island, the disabled, and underprivileged women. One of the FSC's major initiatives is the School's Financial Education Program, SFEP, which was launched to act as a vehicle for tackling some of the challenges the Jamaican financial sector faces today: high cash reliance, financial vulnerability, inadequate financing, and a general distrust and lack of confidence in the financial system. To combat these challenges, SFEP provides the students with the opportunity to hone a very critical skill set that is integral to their personal and professional development. SFEP not only caters to the needs of their financial development, but also appeals to development of their soft skills, critical thinking, and public speaking abilities. Students who participate in SFEP become opinion leaders among their peers in conversations about personal finance and become ambassadors of financial literacy and inclusion, not only promoting the need to become financially literate, but also by spreading awareness of the important financial institutions that govern the financial industry. By creating these ambassadors of personal finance, the FSC has managed to initiate a domino effect of mutual teaching and learning within schools across Jamaica participating in the program. We believe that this is the basis of a strong and growing network of sharing useful information that can empower an entire demographic to do tremendous things, predicated on sound financial decision making. SFEP has had a history of making a positive impact on the lives of our youth, and we will continue to operate with this at the forefront of our minds as we continue to do our best to promote integrity in the Jamaican financial sector. The participants also benefit from interactive presentations from members of the FSC team, where they are introduced to the role and function of the FSC and its fellow local regulatory bodies. The FSC believes that these skills are the foundation of a sound and successful future, and we encourage our participating students to apply their knowledge in various forms. Our annual jingle, essay, and video competitions are important components of SFEP, as they encourage our students to call on their creativity in sharing their understanding of the curriculum delivered to them. Again, we are focusing on honing skills in applying knowledge and building interpersonal skills like teamwork, etiquette, critical thinking, and public speaking, which are critical elements of SFEP. SFEP has assisted the development of our youth by creating student ambassadors promoting sound financial decision-making and leaders among their peers by equipping them with the knowledge needed to build a solid financial foundation at an early stage in their formative years. SFEP has done this for over 6,000 students over a decade of implementing this initiative, and we look forward to more decades of making leaders and contributing to the development of our people and, by extension, Jamaica. We have reaped many successes with SFEP, and a large part of that is due to the many teachers who have joined forces with us and Junior Achievement. Today we say thanks to our educators. We also thank the nurses and policemen and women who have always invited us to their annual conventions, giving us a platform to recruit more ambassadors of financial literacy and an audience eager to learn more about financial inclusion and literacy so they too can share the knowledge. The future is bright for our country and its people. And we believe that a regulator of the future which will facilitate development through regulation has an integral role to play in the furtherance of that success. The future presents us with an opportunity to do more and to do better so that we can better serve our stakeholders. Being a better regulator means embracing the future and all that comes with it and doing our utmost to protect our stakeholders. However, to implement these initiatives that will improve and bolster our strategies, we must ensure that investor education is wholesome and need-focused. What do our stakeholders need to know? How do they perceive these personal finance management concepts? Are they likely to adopt sound financial decision-making practices in their daily lives? Information is power, and data collection initiatives stand at the base of this launchpad for success. Through joint collaborations with other key regulatory bodies, we have begun the groundwork in collecting crucial data that will allow us to accurately gauge the proficiency of our stakeholders with common financial concepts and important financial practices and institutions in Jamaica. It is important that our youth are introduced to the full range of financial services available to them. Despite retirement planning being an important part of one's financial development and success, its importance is an undervalued concept to many of our young adults, just as it is for our adults. However, the regulator of the future must be able to bridge the gap of interest and participation through active and instructive marketing that will allow our youth to see the true value and importance of retirement planning. In building these strategies that will reach our youth, we must also embrace the growth and popularity of our cyberspace and the importance of technology as a vehicle for sharing critical information. In a society where fiber optic internet proliferation initiatives are being implemented island-wide, our stakeholders are having greater access to the internet and its many services. Mobile apps, games, social media, and other interactive channels account for an increasingly important source of our information today. As a regulator preparing to serve its stakeholders for the future, it is imperative that we make efficient and meaningful use of these channels. In contemporary business, it is of paramount importance that companies, including regulatory bodies, have a strong digital presence that can not only provide information, but also to build purposeful relationships with our online communities. Building these relationships fosters trust and appreciation, not only for the regulators themselves, but also for the work we do and the messages we wish to convey to our followership. Our youth are becoming more and more active in online channels such as Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. It is critical that we use these channels to build and maintain strong relationships that foster their growth as adults in the area of personal finance. Our role as regulators for now and the future is to use these channels to strengthen the capacities of our stakeholders by embracing innovation through prudential planning of instructive and conversion-based marketing strategies. Through these marketing strategies, an environment that supports the concept of planning for retirement should be created as a framework for meeting financial goals. It should be introduced as an important building block to a successful and enjoyable life. James Truslow Adams coined the term American Dream in his 1931 publication, Epic of America, where he described that dream as a land in which life should be better, richer, and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each. We visualize that dream as having a car, a house, a business or stable job, starting a family, and retiring happily. All of these personal goals are attainable through Vision 2030, and it is built on the foundation of capacity building in personal finance. This will enable them to make the most of a financial system that is characterized by fairness, integrity, and equal opportunities for success. That is our Jamaican dream, our vision for 2030.
Communications Officer and Social Media Coordinator at the Financial Services Commission, Mr. David Ansell. If you have questions or comments, email us at fscfinancialforum2021@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. And that's a wrap for FSC's Financial Forum. Like and follow us at FSC Jamaica. I'm David Geddes, encouraging you to check before you invest.
Well lit, but must be legit. Watch your flex, are you wagga vex? Check before you invest. I'm saying, check before you invest. I'm saying, well lit, but it must be legit. If you watch your flex, are you wagga vex? I'm saying, investor and investor are go laugh. How them laugh? Tra la 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 la. A message from the Financial Services Commission promoting integrity in the Jamaican financial sector.